How you doing, everybody? Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a good week and everything. Hope you're finding all the Pokemons your heart's desires. So as I said in my last video, I wanted to do something a little different to mix it up yet again. I want to do something this time where we get just kind of have like a discussion, even though I'm going to be talking at a wall here and you're going to be listening. But I'd like to just kind of get some thoughts going and ask you guys about this topic. So we'll get to it here in a minute. But as we're talking, I'm going to be listening to Gower. This is Baneful Apparitions of the Thicket. This is just like a really nasty, raw black metal record I picked up. Actually, my buddy Ron gave it to me, who you'll remember from a couple videos ago. Just some really simplistic necro kind of stuff. Yeah, I would recommend that record. I got this in yesterday. This is going to be one of my favorite albums of the year. The band is called, I don't know how to pronounce this, Canticu Le Preux. It's a French-Canadian band from Quebec. Beautiful digipack. And honestly, the album cover, I'm kind of bummed about this. I found out about this record online, and the album cover is beautiful artwork. But it just doesn't show up that well on the actual digipack, so I'm kind of bummed about that. Really simplistic sort of packaging, but like if you're into Forder SA or any of that kind of like French Canadian melodic kind of hyperspeed black metal that's kind of nature worship kind of stuff, you'll really dig this. I love this record. It really impressed me, and yeah, I'm stoked to be having this on record. And so check this out. I went to a party last night, and a friend of mine gave me something. I can't believe this. Look at this shirt. This is a original vintage Morbid Angel shirt, Altars of Madness from 1993. It's got a logo on the back of it. He found these like at a Goodwill store for, no, Salvation Army, for 69 cents a piece. And he was like, I can't read these band names. You should probably have these. Here's Suffocation from Effigy of the Forgotten. He just fucking gave me these shirts. Now the bummer is they don't fit. I'm a super huge fan of both of these records. They just don't fit me. This is a large. This is an extra large. It would maybe fit me if I would get off my ass and do some sit-ups or something, but not anytime soon. So I'm selling them on eBay, sadly. I hope they go to a good home to somebody who would enjoy them more than I would. But if you're interested in these shirts, I'll put my eBay link down below and you can check them out. Yeah, so the topic at hand that I wanted to get to is, do you download music illegally or not illegally, I guess? You know, there's some ways bands will have a Bandcamp these days where you can spend a couple of bucks, pay what you want, $3, $8 for a download of a record now. But it's something that I've just kind of always found myself on both sides of the argument, and I've never really been able to, I guess, decide where I stand on this argument, because I do download records, and I bet you do too. So I just wanted to like kind of bring up this topic, ask you guys that question, and see what you guys think. So I've been into metal for about 20 years now, since before the internet, well, since before I had the internet, and since before everybody had the internet. And the way I live in Iowa, there's not a lot of metal shows coming through back then. And the way I started finding out about metal was through a friend. And of course, after he shared with me, you know, all the 25 or 50 albums or so that he had, I just kind of felt like, okay, well, those were all great. What else is there? So there was Metal Maniacs back in those days. And we would just gobble up Metal Maniacs from the grocery store and go through every page of those and just look through them and find new things that sounded good, read every word of every interview just for any information that would lead us to a new record that sounded interesting and up our alleys. And sometimes you would get something and it was kind of a bummer. It wasn't as good. But I do really feel like back in those days, there were fewer metalheads, of course, because not everybody was connected to one another. And therefore there were fewer metal bands, and therefore I think that the metal bands that there were pretty good. up until, you know, like a certain point. And so the chance of buying a CD, a record, going to a show, and actually enjoying it, I think, compared to today, we're better. So let's see here. I just got a couple of notes here that I'm going to go off of to kind of keep me on task. So one of the points that I try and make when I'm trying to just kind of discuss this with someone is, what is the point of making music? If you're a musician, do you make music because you need to put food on your table? Or do you make music because you have some topic that's close to you or that you're passionate about that you want to write music about? Or, this is also a valid point, you just love music so much that you have to be playing it, and you have some topics that are relevant to you, some interests that you have that you want to write songs about. But I feel like if you are in music to be making money, and you have the opinion, like, if I'm not going to be making enough money to support this, then I'm not going to be doing it, then I don't want to hear your music, honestly. Now, there's the other flip side of that. I have friends who, you know, put tons of their own money into their records and never see a dime for it. Sometimes they break even. If a friend of mine breaks even with a record, I feel like that's a pretty good success. And so I hate to see, like, when someone puts a bunch of money into a record and then there's people just out there, like, downloading it. But I can also see why they would do that, because finding out about what something is, what something's like these days, all you got to do is click on a couple of buttons. You go to YouTube, you can find it. There you have it. And so I feel like the only reason people buy things anymore is because they want to, you know, it's a little bit easier to listen to on a physical media format, but also just to kind of to pay the person who made it and to show your support. So yeah, that's where I'm going with that, I guess. Another point I was going to bring up is, if you think about it, if we had, say tomorrow, there was no internet, the internet's gone. There's no way that you can go find out about new music, and there's no way that you can hear it before buying it for free. How would you find new music? Would you just have to, like, you have a couple of friends that you know in person? You wouldn't be able to communicate with them or email them back and forth. I don't like where this is going. So if we had no internet tomorrow and you had to find out about new music through your friends, would you be as confident buying a record not knowing what it was like? I feel like since the advent of the internet, we've all had a chance to find more underground DIY and like micro-genre music that kind of leads down these really specific paths of black metal. If you think about it, when I say black metal, like say I recommend some band to you, it's black metal, you still wonder what kind of black metal is it? Is it like heavy, brutal kind of Marduk stuff, or is it atmospheric stuff like Arcturus or Borknagar, proggy kind of stuff? So there's tons of tiny little micro genres that have happened since the advent of the internet, and I think that that's because we all tend to, as musicians, burrow further and further along in these micro genres and create new ones and break down more barriers between them, but also in doing so you create a new path of music for something original to be created. And so the further we get into those micro genres, I'm going to call them, the more I think you're likely to make something that someone might not like as much. So if you create something that's breaking down barriers and walls over here, but I'm way over here, I might not like your strange experimental proggy black metal kind of thing because I'm more of a traditional kind of guy. But I'm still into black metal, and this is still a black metal band, but it's just kind of hard to say that I would for certain like that. There's some stuff that's kind of like proto, post black metal sort of stuff that I just can't really get into that much, and that's fine. I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad that there's like some mixing of genres going on, but it's just some of it just kind of doesn't appeal to me in the way that most black metal does, and I feel like that wouldn't happen if there wasn't the internet to help people find records that were doing that, to give people the idea to create something that was that off the beaten path. So let me know what you think about this topic. How often do you buy or download records? And when you download a record, do you usually buy it? I feel like that's the way I do. I don't download as much as I used to, and it's certainly not these days. I feel like I'm buying more than I'm downloading, actually. But I definitely do. Like, the first step in me checking out a band is probably just streaming it somewhere on YouTube or something like that and seeing what it's like. And then if I like it, you know, I'll download it, I'll listen to it a couple of times, and then if I like it, I'm gonna buy it. I think that if I hadn't been downloading records for so many years, I might not have as many CDs as you see up there, and I might have a decent car that goes straight and doesn't veer off of the road as much. But I wouldn't have it any other way. This is my passion. This is probably the most important thing in my life these days, is metal and music. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Let's just get some discussion going. Obviously, you know, since I said I download records, call me out on it. Tell me why I shouldn't do that. And go on the other side of the argument. Let's just talk about it. See what you think. So yeah, like I said, if you want those shirts, check out the eBay link below. Don't forget to subscribe and check me out in the next video. Keep it metal.